I don't want to say the destination has been reached, but it doesn't feel at the moment. It doesn't feel like there's a need to get to a destination. It's
Mm.
there's no
So the
need for it.
seeking falls away rather than the destination's reached because
Yeah.
we always were what we were looking for. We're never not this. Identification appearing in what we are, and that being adopted is like a lens of perception we're looking through. The infinite being is looking through a lens of perception, saying, well, this relative experience isn't very nice, something's wrong, but it's referencing a point of view, a me, a mental idea, a construct of an idea of what it is. But of course, what's looking is already home. But
Yes.
once that lens is on, then there's this seeking and this searching. And when there's been the resting as what we are, and then less adopting the lens, it sort of dawns more and more. Hang on, well, this was my experience. Oh, hang on, I never left. That mistaken identity, really.
Yes. Yes. There was definitely an identity that was running that for my entire life was seen as real, and now it it's just realized that it wasn't, and that's where the relief comes in, I think.
And has this been a gradual process for you? Or was there one point, obviously people quite often look for was there something you did? But of course we know that that one, that idea, I use my pink pen,
Yeah.
this one that thinks like there's something I did dies really because that one was never doing anything. There was still doing happening. There may have been meditating and things. But so from a point of view of somebody who's seeking, is there anything you feel that was useful?
What was useful was to realize that there doesn't need to be a huge bang moment, and that waiting for it, that wanting it and grasping and groping, and the mind repetitively telling you you're never there, you never will be there until there's this huge explosion that you can wear as a badge and run around and say, I have it.
It's happening.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it wasn't like that for me. It was really gentle, really unnoticeable almost. And I think that's probably the one thing that I would have liked to have heard um, on the journey that I was on, was that it there doesn't need to be a bang moment for you to arrive to where you've always been. And it's almost like you're taking a really long walk, and there's so many distractions on the walk, and at some point the distractions slow down a bit, and then you just turn around and realize, okay, they were all distractions, and I'm okay. I'm where I'm supposed to be. So um, the that was the biggest help, I think, was to just, no one really said to me, you need to have a big bang moment. I just realized those things just weren't needed. Uh, it was very, very gentle. I can't even say it was an unfolding. It was just, oh, okay, this is what I am. This is what all the ways was. I was just so distracted by, the noise of the mind and events, and believing so much in what the mind had to say. That the mind can be very, very powerful. I guess one thing I did do, I guess you could say, was a lot of looking,
Mm-hmm.
which I did, after speaking with you. At some point, you do realize that, okay, this just cannot be done with the mind. The mind will want to figure this out so much.
Mm.
It will do, it will plead with you to understand it and figure it out. But to do the to do the actual looking, the
Mm.
mind can't do it. And
The inquiry. So like where is the I? Where is this?
yeah,
And then we're, instead of adopting a mind to say, well, it's here, it's me, it's who I am. That's conceptual. Where actually is this I that's causing all the problem, that feels it's lost and lonely? And then it's to rest in the no answer, because that is the answer.
yeah, I realize you do need some mind to take an action, to look. So
Mm-hmm.
there's that part of it.
Yeah, the inquiry.
Yeah. But what I was getting tripped up on was going straight away back to thought,
Yeah.
and listening to what the thought had to say as interpretations. Of course, when you look at that, when you turn around and look at that they are just thoughts. They're very kind of vapor type, whispery elements in the mind. But when you look at your direct experience, it's very different. It's right in front of you. It's
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 immediate, it's
it's
alive.
it's immediate. It's you can't turn away from it. It's continually
It's
running. It's there.
Yeah.
um, and the mind distracts you, and you listen to it because you're just used to it. And for people who are new on the journey, it's very difficult to to suddenly start to not listen to what the mind has to say.
It
It's
does seem to
tricky.
take a while
Yeah,
for the human experience, for
yeah,
that to not keep giving it authority.
yeah. I had, God, 30, 20, 30 years of believing every word of the mind. So,
Mm-hmm.
it does take a good bit of looking to realize, okay, there's something else here. It's not just what the mind has to say.
But when there's that, so if you're aware of thoughts, there's a little bit of a gap. That's almost the beginning, if you can, so I'm witnessing the thoughts. And then it's like, well, what's witnessing? And then you can't find anything. And then the mind, like you said, will try and answer, well, it's a me. Of course I'm witnessing it. And you go, hang on, drop that. It just is. It's just what's here. And it just all slows down. The mind slows down. And then there might
Yeah,
be an insight. It has such a different quality to it.
yeah, that's a very good word, quality, actually. One of the things that I did more recently that was really helpful was to have slightly more time directly looking at awareness, because I was just trying to feel into what qualities it had.
So do you mean in a felt sense?
Yeah, it was just a sitting with it, and an allowing of the
Mm.
moment of being with this awareness, and just having that little that little action of, oh, okay, what qualities does it have? Not using the mind, just sitting and being with it, and you kind of start to notice, well, it's continually running. It's spacious, it's vivid, it's all encompassing, it's always showing, you know, different features, and there's all these expressions appearing, and it was that, not all of those straight away, of course, but from time to time I just sit with it, and just different qualities would pop out, and you know, just,
it's almost a noticing.
yeah, it was a noticing of those things, and you know, I didn't make it a practice, but I would do it from time to time, and it would almost just open up a little bit more, you know,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
after a little while, I think I just stopped doing that,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and there was just a slight resting in it on a more sort of permanent basis, and there was nothing else to be looked at, I think.
This is my point of view, that there's a subtle inquiry that was getting you to engage with what you were, awareness aware of itself rather than an awareness aware of thoughts, awareness of all that's arising, you know, what isn't coming and going. So it's turning attention towards what isn't coming and going.
Yeah.
And then just like a simple inquiry, well, what is this? But not needing to answer, just the simple seeing of what we are. And that's the direct experience of it. And then there can be just a noticing of aliveness from wisdom might be offered up. And you're like, oh, okay. And intimacy may come up because it's not apart from you, it's what you are. So,
Yes.
you know, I used to get delicious. Well, it's just delicious. Because it just is, and it's so simple, and it's just here. So it is lovely to turn, you know, I think that's just the simple awareness aware of itself, just exploring itself.
Yeah, that's probably a good way to describe it. Yeah, because that's what you are. So when you're almost exploring yourself
Mm, mm, mm.
from the foundational level, from the beginning. Yeah.
So the qualities of true nature. What are the qualities of true nature as a human being experiencing? Because it's true, it's the absolute experiencing itself through form. So you're just checking in, you know, it can come as a thought form, it can come as a sensation, it can come as so it's just exploring itself through, but not through that lens of a me that needs to get it, doesn't understand it, wants to, it's a conceptualized awareness, whereas this is just non-conceptual awareness, without the urgency, without the need, without the just knowing itself. That's what it is, isn't it? It's knowing itself. Because it is the knowing, the means of knowing, and what's known. It's all
Yeah.
three collapsed together. It's just the knowing, and everything's already known effortlessly, and everything that's appearing is what's looking. You know, it all collapses down. It's that you know, when you get a strong contrast, something very strong appears in the human experience. It gives us a chance to see even deeper.
Yes, that was probably this weekend, actually, or this week. I spent a couple of days in Wales, and um, the we went on the beach for a stroll. Took my dog, and the water is freezing cold. But um, I normally wouldn't do it, but I, you know, thought I'd have a paddle around with my feet, you know, just as the waves were coming in, and it was really biting. But there was like a moment of, oh, I really want to feel this moment, you know, not particularly pleasant in the general sense, but you know, I wanted to feel just everything about it, and what was amazing was that, you know, this was possible because of awareness and our true nature, and what it allows, you know, those moments that can easily be missed, you know, could run into the water, run straight back out. Oh, that's freezing, rubbish. I'm going to put my socks back on and do something else. But it was just a moment to really appreciate it. So little things like that start to happen. You notice a little bit more, I think, of the expressions that appear.
When we're just noticing the moment as it is, you know, there'll be sensations, there'll be, but you are the experience, you are the moment, you're not apart from it, because you've not created any separation.
No.
So it becomes a denser experience, but not a good or bad or a should and shouldn't. Just wow. I remember experiencing pain, stubbing my toe, and thinking, "Oh, this will be interesting." It's as if true nature goes, "Oh, this will be a fun game. Let's have a look at this," from just naked awareness prior to concepts, and you know, just directly experience pain as these waves of dense experience, not pain at all. It's completely different. I mean, it was the sensation of that would have been labeled pain. I was the sensation. It was just a movement of dense sensation.
Yeah.
Not apart from it, not looking at it, just I was the sensation. And it wasn't, was it, you know, because true nature is neutral, isn't it?
Very.
So great. I love that. It's so great. It's neutral. So it's not tangled up in the goods and shoulds and shouldn'ts. And it's just so open and accepting and naturally allowing, nobody allowing.
Yes.
It just is.
Yeah.
So it then, you know, an email with a complex thing in it is just an email with a complex thing in it. It doesn't have the, you know, if we look through a lens of a conceptual mind, it shouldn't be, oh, this is a nightmare. I've got all this to do now. And why can't they just send it in a simple format? I've got 30 pages only because it happened yesterday. And I was like, what is that? I sort of noticed this annoyance and trying to work out how I was going to do this. And awareness just is. And so now it's completely neutral. There's no engaging with how awful that email is and how complex the job I've got to produce. And then there's no, I don't know when it's going to get done, because there's now somebody not organizing it. There's not somebody who's trying to put the pieces of the jigsaw in place for it to work. There's just, well, it'll happen when it happens. There's complete freedom.
Yes. Yes.
And then you notice you start setting up for the thing that you thought was going to be a big problem. You're ready and you're doing it, and it's effortless.
Yes. Things start to get done naturally in its own time. I have noticed that. I can tell a difference now when the mind or the me wants to control, and it doesn't feel easy in that moment. So what seems to be happening now is there's an not adjusting, but there's a noticing that life can be a little bit more easier if you, can I say, go with the flow? Is that?
Well, it is flow, isn't
It's
it?
a bit like that, isn't it?
It's definitely. It's flow.
Go with the flow.
Life
And,
is already
yeah.
flowing, and then the mind tries to manage the flow and, you know, adopts a me that's going to do this and do that and change things and manage the flow when there's nobody managing the flow. It's just an overlay.
And there's always things that pop up that need to get done. But there's always like a feeling that comes with it. It's almost like a following. It will get done. Not right now, but it will get done. You don't know when it's going to get done.
No,
But it just
or how, or yeah.
No, and it does get done. It's like,
yeah. But the mind might scream, "What do you need to do it now?"
Exactly,
And you're ignoring
exactly,
it.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. You have to sort of get used to that, I've found.
Yeah.
operating from effortless being. I mean, we are
Mm.
effortless being. That's what we are, as a human experience. It's just effortlessly being, and then all forms arising, and doing is happening, walking is happening, speaking is happening. Whereas before there was just this overlay of, some sort of commentator about it. Well, I'm doing this, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. And an urgency and a contraction and an energy drain, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a definite feeling that if you can just notice the feeling, you'll know what choice to make in the moment, and
Oh, nice.
that's
Can you
something
explain that a little
different.
bit more? Is it that you've got a couple of things that you could do and you notice which one to go to, or?
So, well, an obvious one is, a bill comes through, and you open the mail, bill comes through, and the mind will start up straight away. Right, I need to get on this right now, because I don't like bills. No one likes bills. I need to get it paid. And then there'll be a more open side also there that almost says or feels there's no need to panic. It will get paid. You can put that down, and it will get paid in the right moment.
Mm.
And your mind doesn't want to do that, but if you can do that, it just happens. It gets sorted out. And sorry, that's such a that's not the
No,
best example as anyone I can
that's a
think
good
of, but
example because everybody knows that. They know the
yeah,
contractedness when a bill comes in. Again, it's that urgency. I've got to pay this. I need to sort this out now. I mustn't leave it. I'm going to forget it. I'm going to, it's going to, whatever the mind's offering, like you say, resisting the bill, stress. Um,
yeah. So and then a couple of days later, a spare hour appears, and I'll just grab a bunch of bills that need to get paid. I'll sit down calmly, get them all paid off, and then it's done.
Effortless being, like you say, is flow. So just resting as what you are and not adopting anything, not attention, not going towards mental activity and urgency and contraction. It's just one of flow. It is just life unfolding as it's unfolding, moment
Yeah.
to moment.
I think this goes the same for the journey that anyone might be on. Is It's a similar feeling of when the mind is always kicking in, and there's that contracted striving to get there and to understand it, and to, don't like to use the word awaken, but that's what a lot of people
Mm.
crave for. um, going with the flow in a more gentle way seems to have, like not a faster, but an easier outcome. The journey is easier.
I
It
think because you're
feels like,
already operating from effortless being, even if you've not recognized what you are,
yeah,
instead of the stress and the strive and the contraction. And this is what David Bingham points to. He says, just make every day most easeful and effortless. He doesn't say these words, but something similar. Um, you can. So you go towards, there's two things to do. Oh, that one seems like fun. Even effortless being is an appearance in what we are. What we fundamentally are isn't in the game, never becomes anything. So it can experience itself as effortless being, wisdom and unity. This is the absolute. Experience itself in the denser filters. So all the filters are just denser experiences. It's like a field of experience. So effortless being is closer to its true nature, to the fundamental nature. And the fundamental nature can't be described. It's non-conceptual. It remains. It's never altered. The wholeness can appear as division and unity, but it's still wholeness.
yeah. Ultimately, it's always free. it's always.
But it's actually attributeless. It has no attributes at all. So freedom appears within it. And no, it has the quality of that liberation, total freedom from the game. That's the quality, that's like the fragrance of it.
Yeah.
But when we actually look at what we are, it has no attribute. There's nothing you can speak about. What we are is untouched, unaltered by all of the movements it creates for itself to experience. Never becomes anything. That's where the empty fullness or the emptiness dancing never becomes. It's a world of becoming, but it never becomes anything. It remains unaltered. So that's what I was pointing to about for me, I had quite a lot of contrast, but it was really helpful because it got me to say, hang on a minute, there's all this appearing, but what I am is unaltered. It never changes. So the relative is the wholeness, appearing as relative, but never becomes anything other than the wholeness, other than the absolute. So the absolute remains pristine, totally untouched by the game, never enters the game. And you can't even, it feels like freedom, but you almost can't say that because you can't speak about it.
Well, you can't attach anything to it. No.
Or if we do, we can just peel it away and there it is again.
Yeah.
Because it's bottomless.
Yeah.
There's no landing place. There's nowhere to land. There's no center here. There's no center.
It is interesting to see how the mind continually commentates about experience.
Like a navigation tool for the human experience, but it's become dominant, and then we've taken the navigation tool to be who we are, and it's here. Oh, we're this.
Yeah.
And given all our authority over to it, and fallen asleep to we're that's aware of the mind. And of course, when we look from the bigger picture, from the absolute, nobody fell asleep and nobody woke up. It's all just patterns appearing in this.
Yeah, different shapes and experiences.
There's where all the paradoxes are in the experience. You know, walking home to realize you were never left. You know, declining invitations to realize there was never anybody there declining invitations. All just experience, all just little, you know, even awareness can be a little landing position, awareness of, which is helpful to begin with, because then you're aware of thoughts, so there's some space.
Yeah.
But then what's aware of thoughts, like you explored, awareness aware of itself, you know, that's dropped away and there's only just the knowing of the moment. It is just known. Everything just starts to collapse because everything that's appearing is what's looking. Because there's nothing else here.
Something that has popped into the mind was the amount of suffering that was taking place during the seeking process.
Oh yeah, it can, yeah. Perpetuate it, yeah.
Yeah, and how real that can feel when you're believing that you're that person.
Yeah, so suffering is appearing, so it is real, but who's suffering is seen to be that it doesn't exist. So suffering is appearing, suffering is being adopted, but there's no sufferer.
So it's sort of it's doubled up because you're believing that suffering, and it just goes more and more on top of itself. And when you can see that you're not the person, that you know the invitation still might appear, but it doesn't carry that weight with it, and it just sort of like dissolves. And I think that's where the freedom of all of this is when those invitations appear, and you no longer adopt them like it was, that's you, that's not you.
Automatic.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
not
it's not
you.
automatic anymore. There's enough space not to.
Yeah,
And it's just that gradual then seeing, well, who was adopting them? So it all gets, it becomes like, just like ocean like then, doesn't it? Like a thought can appear and disappear, a ripple, a thing, a big one, a small,
yeah,
it just becomes this harmonious dance of itself. Nothing has that gravity, that pull that it had, because you're not believing in the one that you thought was saying those things, that identity.
yeah. It's like a full-on virtual reality headset you put
Yeah,
on, and you're in it, and you're you're there,
yeah.
and you just
Not
don't.
knowing how to get out of the game,
No,
you've just got to drop the lens. Yeah.
yeah, you
Well,
don't really.
I often explain it like that. That there's the infinite being, and it can just, there's this field of experience. Like, oh, this is interesting. Oh, look in there. There's a whole world of, appearances. That's so interesting. Wide awake. Then here is a bit like, oh, we could play this game. Still awake, knowing what's looking is the absolute. And then, something juicy appears and bang, you're in the game, not knowing how to get out. You've forgotten your true nature's looking. Now you're a me and thinking, I'm lost, I'm lost, I'm lost.
Yeah,
Um, and it just takes something to quieten that, the view and that point of view, that reference point. When that drops, then people say, oh, I had a glimpse. But what happens is this tiny point of view falls away for a moment in a relaxing situation or a meditation or something, reveals what's always been the case, and then a thought comes, oh, I had a glimpse. And then attention goes towards that. I had a glimpse. Oh, how do I get that back? Again, the I is adopted again. So it's the falling away of what we're not reveals what we are. But unfortunately, we immediately use the mind, give it authority to judge. It wants to say, oh, there was a glimpse. How do I get it back? A lot of people who've recognized their true nature on a call then go, how do I keep it? So immediately that's a thought that
yeah,
appears in true nature, and it's given authority. And so it's to just say, well, can you leave what you are? And where would you be going? So, so where is this future event? Are you going to lose what you are? How can you? Just pointing them back to the truth of their being, that you can't lose what you are. Can be an experience.
no. And it's okay for people to have those thoughts and those
Oh
doubts
yeah, yeah, yeah,
come
yeah, yeah.
up. It's okay, and
Yeah,
and I don't think anyone ever said that to me,
yeah.
that
You say none of it's wrong. It's just how life can experience itself. So nobody's getting anything wrong.
no,
So it's already and always the case that we are this. There's nothing to fight.
yeah,
It's just how life can experience itself. Wake up, fall asleep to its true nature, and wake up to its true nature. But all of those movements ultimately are seen to be itself appearing,
yeah,
experiencing itself. So whatever's appearing is it.
yes,
So it's like, so what is happening? It's just it can appear to fall asleep to that fact, to that knowing that there's nothing else here. Everything that's appearing is it, just almost disguised, just experiencing itself in all these different ways. I think, like you pointed out, that it's the direct experience really, rather than operating through mental activity. Just the direct seeing of the moment, the knowing of the moment is key, really.
yeah. Something else that's just popped in
Mm.
was seeing how the body was responding to all of this. I think I might have messaged you at some point, because I think with all the what was unfolding, that the body was also doing its own unfolding. So there was like a spontaneous urge to do stretches and to do like some dancing, to go for runs and some strange things like that. And
there's just impulse to do it.
yeah, it was like I don't know, a physical releasing almost. And
definitely, I had that too. The physical form has got some patterns, and it's handy to release those patterns in whatever way. And allowing is the key. Allowing is such a big important thing, but for the separate self me, allowing is a doing. I've got to allow, and allowing is a spontaneous.
yes,
It's the non-doing. So used to doing, so used to contracting, so used to forming, identifying through form appearing and identifying with form. And it's that there seems to be a stage of just this constant allowing for the physical form, for the grasping, for the sensations of grasping thoughts, just a constant allowing. I experience it as like an ice cube melting into water. So it wasn't anything, it was the same substance, but it was just dissolving, just this constant allowing. And it can be that with a sensation appearing. It can be when there's a lens of a me, it's my pain or my tension. But we start to see, well, there's just a sensation. And in just the simple seeing of the sensation, it dissolves rather than where it's on mine. I've got to get rid of it. I've got to see through it. I've got to look at it. I've got to do all this stuff. It gives it, we're giving it value. We're giving it importance. We're creating now something we've got to get rid of. There's nobody allowing it. I was like, oh my goodness, there's nobody allowing it. It's already here. The thoughts are already here. The sensations are already here. Nobody's making them come. They're already here. They're already allowed. There's nobody allowing them. Oh, well, that's easy then. It's just the seeing of them.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that's something I tried a few times was, can I predict any thought, any appearance into what's taking place? You can't. Not one single thing. So that was a big help towards looking into the person,
the doer,
the doer, yeah,
the one that the controller. That's an
yeah,
interesting one. The one that feels like you control everything. Everything's already happening.
Yeah.
I mean, you can plan all you like, but that's just a mental overlay. How can a mental overlay have any power to what's appearing?
Exactly. Yes.
It has no independent power. It's just a thought. You subscribe to, there's a me that's got all these thoughts that needs to get rid of. We subscribe to, and then in that subscription, yes, I'm a separate self. That's the experience life has. But when we don't subscribe, when we say we've had enough of that game, thank you very much, and there's just effortless being. I think that was another thing, effortlessness. Oh my goodness, why did I not notice that? Our true nature is effortless.
I think at some point you realize you don't even need to decline it.
No, who is declining it?
No.
Nobody. But these are like stepping stones until they're not needed. It's like practices are there until they're not needed.
Yes.
Because there's these stages of experience. But what's experiencing them is the infinite being, not a me.
I think it was Ramana Maharshi who said something like using a wooden stick to stoke the fire until your stick is just burnt to nothing.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it is. That's the dissolving again, isn't it?
Yeah.
The ice cube melting into itself. What believed itself to be just dissolves. And it reveals, oh, I was never not this. Everything that appeared was this. There was nothing apart from me. There's no opposites. There's no center. There's no boundary. In absolute reality, in direct experience. And we can't be a thought. It's as if the me thought, what we are, that can't be named, squidges itself into a me thought. and then has that experience of a me. But it's infinite, and it's as if it collapses into a me thought. It's just a thought. And that's this experience of a me, of this conceptual constructed identity. Just wild, isn't it?
You can almost remember that that was always the case, all the way right through to childhood, you know, that the fundamental resting nature was always there. And when you see it, you go, oh God, that's all the way back, all the way.
There was something that never changed.
Yeah.
That was always there, always looking, was aware of it all. But just is so normal, it gets overlooked. So obvious, it's not paid attention to, because the mind is appearing in it. So the mind can't talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, if you watch kids play it, you can probably notice like they're not preparing each act, they're not preparing each game. There's total fluid expression, you know, it's, and you can remember back, I can remember back to that, but it totally got lost. Totally, you know.
So it's that freedom again, freedom of expression, just laughing, just falling down, just getting up, just being silly, just giggling so much that you can't actually stand up, and then being annoyed, but it blows through. There's never any stickiness. Whereas, you know, when the identity is formed, this misidentity is formed, it's got so much gravity and density to it that somebody says something horrible to you and you're still talking about it 3 days later, and your mind still. And a child wouldn't, you know, somebody says something mean to them, they go, oh, I don't like you either, shove off, and they go off. 2 minutes later they're playing with them again, because they're not held on to it. And you may notice that's what's happening now for you. You know, I notice something shoots through and it's gone.
Yeah, it's like nature almost, you know. You know, maybe in slow motion, but kind of like this, where the flowers are dead, and then spring comes and they burst open and they change shape and they wither again. And there is a real beauty and freedom that I just didn't see before. And for me, the mental suffering was the initial driving force for the journey, and to finally see that there was no real sufferer in the first place is worth it. Was worth it. Yeah.
Such a relief for the human experience.
Yeah.
But thank goodness I woke up. I know we're talking from the human experience now, because obviously what we are never, but you know, we're not ignoring that life is having a human experience, so it can enjoy the relative and go, thank goodness I'm not asleep anymore. You know, can talk in those terms as well. Embrace the relative experience.
The appearances and the expressions and the journey and all of it right now was beautiful. Somehow it is.
I think that's where we see that it was all how life wanted to experience itself. You know, these contrasts is how it knows freedom. It wouldn't know freedom if it had not been bound and lost. Wouldn't be able to experience the beauty of waking up. It's just the drama of life, I think. A texture of this, and it's actually quite delicious. Obviously not when you've got the lens of a me, and it's no, I'm not ignoring that. So if somebody is suffering, you're not going to ignore that. You know how that feels, but you also know the freedom that's available as well.
I suffered for many years with anxiety, and from time to time that still appears, especially in the morning. And the way I used to deal with it was to, wow, how do I get rid of this? This is a horrible feeling.
And that's understandable.
Yeah,
you know.
and
Yeah.
let me think of, I'll go online and I'll search of ways to do breathing techniques and yeah, all of that. And but when, you know, when that surfaces from time to time these days, there's more of just an, oh, anxiety is appearing. Um, that's okay, and it it's almost like it expresses itself, and then without even noticing it, it dissolves, and then you know, there's the next experience of, oh, what a lovely day, or you know, a different expression.
Experience.
Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
and
So I
so
think it's because we don't engage with it. It doesn't stick. It's not fueled.
yeah.
So it just dies, and eventually those things just become less and less.
I
Or
think when I was like seeking, I can remember thinking that, oh, if only I can awaken, all of this will just disappear,
yes, that's a
and
yes.
I'll just be blissful, and I
Yeah,
won't need to have any anxiety ever again, and you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
but it's not that at
No, it
all.
isn't that. No,
It's not that
because
at all.
that's this one taking its relative view, what's appearing as its almost mirror. My life's like this, and I can change it. If I wake up, then I'll change this relative picture, and this drops. Life is still appearing, and well, this is the experience here, but there's nobody fueling it anymore, and it seems to be more home. I think it's just the lens that's being perceived through. When there's just effortless bit, the storylines drop. I don't really notice if there's just the noticing of the moment. There's no storylines here.
No, there's just moments, it seems, and each moment is different to the next moment, but there's no movie with each moment. So previously there was this huge dramatic movie and wanting to control the movie, and yeah, so
It's just
that's
the moment as it is, brand new,
yeah,
fresh, just here, alive, just this. Instead of, yes, perpetuating the movie, the storylines, the me that needs to fix, control, and improve life. It's just life.
yeah. That's how life used to be so tiring, was wanting to control each moment. You know, that really tired me out.
Yeah, it's
And
exhausting. Even just thinking is exhausting from that point of view because it has no energy.
yeah,
So if we don't fuel the game, does it? Because there's a collective fueling of the game of duality, and we're drawn into it. The only power in the game is the power that we're all giving it by looking at our phones. Attention is a commodity. Your energy is a commodity that's being used within the game.
yeah,
Your attention is valuable. What the story that's being told is you're a separate self. You've got to look after yourself. You've got to improve yourself. You've got to get ahead of everybody. You've got to survive. You've got to get one step up. You've got to get on the ladder. You've got to keep going. It's just so stressful and exhausting. But that's the story being fed. And if we put our head in there, then that's the experience we have. Or it's all dropped away here. Not saying things aren't appearing, but like you say, it's just the moment to moment. A bill comes in, I think, but we're not perpetually, oh my God, the bills, they're all coming in. What do I do with them? What do I do with them? How much have I got? Let me just check my bank account, Whereas they might be checking a bank account spontaneously, them paying a bill spontaneously. So just very different. Like you say, it's just a flow, isn't it?
yeah,
Without the fear and limitation of a separate self me. It's got a certain amount of energy, a certain amount of time, a certain amount of resources.
making decisions out of fear, I think, often had a much more difficult outcome. You know, there
It's like
was,
convoluted and exhausting,
yes,
second guessing. Have I done it right? Should I have done that? Shouldn't I have done that?
yeah,
Confusion. Yeah. Chaos.
yeah,
All in the mind, though, for somebody who doesn't exist.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then
It's interesting, isn't it?